male, and he's given us quite a bit of information relative to his own personal experiences in reference to violence and unconcern. And let's see if we, Professor Taylor, can pick up where we left off dealing with domestic violence and some of the things that you feel that you ought to make our audience aware of during this last part of the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haney. One of the three of the last words I'd like to mention are the words ridicule, emasculate, and duress. It was in 1984 when I mentioned that I had realized, worked my way through the first abuse, like the layers. There was ridicule in the kindergarten, and then there was emasculation in 61, and later on I learned the word duress. And duress was where I grew up in the household. I was the youngest son on the 4 girls, so I had to learn their sounds in order to survive. When they got tired of me, I'm knowing that my mother did not want a son, and some of that was in their thinking too, because it was quick for them to get tired of me. But what I was able to do was to learn their sounds and learn that they were getting tired of waiting on me, taking care of me, this kind of thing, and they had lost a son before me. And the other thing here is I wanted to make sure that I highlighted the fact that from my time period of verbal abuse from 1961 to 1996, there are men today who don't have an avenue or anywhere to go for anybody to listen to them, to give time, give them the ear. This lady gave me her ear in 1996, and I was able to get out all of those thoughts that I was thinking, the side effects of things, because people are quick to label you as being mentally ill. The other thing is the man must learn how to master the language in order to articulate his thoughts or whatever is going on inside of him. And it's just very important, because when I was in Atlanta, and I don't know if I said this earlier or not, but I actually ran for the presidency of the National Council of Negro Women. I felt, even this was in 1992, it was that important for me to try to get on that type of situation to help better relationship between the male and female of our people. And I have also found the research has been tested internationally. Men from other countries are able to identify with these things as well. And I've had some women to tell me they don't want me nowhere near their husband. You know, they don't want this to be known.
Because they think that that's a great secret, and somehow you've explored and found the secret, and so they don't want you to tell everybody. Is that what we're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And then there was another one who said that she believed that this research is going to open up a new door in the conversation of domestic violence. She was a professor at Vanderbilt University here. And I just would love to just see it flourish in a way where and are using also the game called the Ungame. It is designed to develop interpersonal communications where people can share and feel safe, not ridicule, sarcasm, judgmental, and things of this nature. And I've been using the book Verbal Abuse by Patricia Evans. She's out of California, and she shared the statistics with me of the number of men come to her who have been verbally abused by women, and they don't have anywhere to go. And the main thing is, from what I've seen from my personal experience, all these years that I suffered from being misunderstood, you know, rejected, even in my family, you know, rejection is a common thing for me. I grew up with rejection. I was rejected when I entered the world, you know, and when my birth followed the death of a child, and when my mother was in the 8th month of pregnancy with me, that was the tragedy that happened in Mississippi with the Emmett Till tragedy. So I understand the imprint of these things, and being that in the month of April, this is the most depressing month in the history of America. So many tragedies. Even as of this month, there have been about 11 that have taken place just this month. And so all of these things come together. They have a way of having what they call historical traumas people can have, and all of these things have a way of adding up and affecting people's ability to articulate what it is they're trying to say, whatever they're trying to say they need to talk about.
Now, you know, I think we've opened, and you've opened a very, very important issue here in terms of the impact of domestic violence on the African-American male. Now, where would you go from here? I mean, how would African-American males work their way out of such a box that they're in? I know yours was a long, drawn-out process, and it took many years.
Yes.
But how would you suggest that those individuals who feel that they have been verbally abused, that nobody's concerned about them, and that they don't have a word to say around the homes that they are in now, how would you suggest that they try to work their way out of some of the problems that you think that you've already identified in yourself?
Well, I would welcome them, to get in touch with me. I recently had the opportunity to meet a gentleman at the YWCA named Self, and I shared with him what it is that I've been doing. And I've welcomed them, to get in touch with me and connect them with other men who have gone through these experiences, and they don't have anybody to really talk to about it, not to be made to feel wrong or feel like you shouldn't feel this way. And one of the other things come to my mind here is the book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk. And in that book, Dr. Haney, it says that a child may not know how to tell you how you made them feel, but they know how to feel. And this is what we're trying to do, help them to get their feelings out, because a lot of this has happened when they're very young. And I was attending the black educators here in the Opryland about 2 years ago, and it was stated there in the class why we can't read, that the kids were ridiculed, some of the males were ridiculed. I was one of those. I grew up ashamed of reading. Even when my mother taught me to read the Bible, I discovered that she made me feel guilty when she couldn't pronounce a word. And as an adult, I discovered that she didn't know phonics, and I didn't either. So it's just, this is a great opportunity for me to get something out that I've been carrying for a long time, and I believe it's going to help make relationship better between men and women when they can learn to discuss and get these things out.
Because oftentimes I think you will admit that when we think in terms of domestic violence, it's almost a one-way street.
That's correct.
The impact that it has upon the female without understanding the psychological impact that it has upon the male,
Exactly.
which can be just as disastrous in terms of what it does to him psychologically as at what it does to her physically, and et cetera. I think that what we're saying here is that there has to be an understanding of this, and that perhaps females, when they start thinking in terms of what they're saying to their male significant others,
Yes.
ought to be careful, as well as men ought to be careful as in terms of what they say to the significant female or significant others in
Yes.
their lives. Is that what we're saying? We ought to be concerned about the way we speak.
That's right.
Toward one another.
That's right. And this little story comes to my mind. I found it in a tract in the Church of Christ. And it said that this little old lady was a cook, Dr. Haney. And they asked her, they said, why do you have so many friends? And she said, I taste my words before they come out of my mouth. She said, don't taste right to me. I don't let them out. I keep them in. And that's the idea, too.
To be careful and be sensitive to other folks in spite of what the situation might be. And that could help not only African American males, but that could help females, and et cetera. And in spite of all of the problems that might have come out of slavery and all of those problems that we talk about, psychological problems all the time, that people can change their lives and they can live a more productive life if they are concerned about others. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir. And identifying, realizing that the voice can scar in the soul. In South America, there's an expression that a wound from a knife will heal, but a wound from the tongue, it takes it longer to heal, this type of thing. And last, I'm saying this, anybody the young men who hear this, they can feel free to get in touch with me. I would welcome calls or emails, whatever, share my experiences to help them on to the next level.
And you think that this is a real issue that we ought to be concerned about, not only as Africans, but as people, that we ought to be concerned about the way we deal with one another, and the way we talk with one another, and whether we are sympathetic toward one another or not. Is that might do something in terms of making better relationships between everybody. Is that right?
Most definitely, Dr. Haney. And it also, a lot of men are not able to address this. And that one of the highlights of why I wanted to get this out, because they have to be honest about that. They're suffering from things, and then there are women who do not know how to share. If they don't get any evidence of the signs or the side effects of abuse, they won't ever know.
Oh, very good. And of course, let me thank you, Taylor, for bringing that excellent information to us today. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning. Hold it.